Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Budget and Finance Committee. Today is Monday, November 24th, 2025. It is approximately 6:45 p.m. Note this meeting is conducted as a virtual meeting with proceedings broadcasted on the media outlets provided, which is the Zoom link and our Facebook Lawrence City Council page. Voting members present today is our Madam Chair, Stephanie Infante, myself, Vice Chair Vivian Marmol, and Counselor from District B, Wendy Luzon. We have our Council President that will be joining us shortly, Counselor Rodriguez. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting of Budget and Finance Committee is being conducted via remote participation. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to and or view this meeting while in progress may use of any of the following access locations that I had previously mentioned. There are no minutes for council approval, so going straight into business is the first item on the agenda under new business is item number 454-25. Which is the appropriation transfer in the amount of $537, 382. So let me say that again, $537,382.67 from retained earnings to various airport accounts. We do have our airport manager, Francisco Ureña. If you could please, I would say take the floor, but take the microphone and let us know what this item is about. Before, could everybody hear me?
Counselor, I believe I am not muted anymore. I was muted there for a bit.
My apologies, Mr. Ureña. Do you mind giving me a second? Let me allow, because I'm forgetting that when we are conducting these meetings virtually, we need to do our call the roll, and we should do it one by one. So, Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll for
Sure.
to see who's present with us today.
Counselor Wendy Luzon,
Present.
Counselor Stephanie Infante,
Present.
Counselor Vivian Marmol,
Present.
and Council President Giovanni Rodriguez, noted as absent. He'll be joining us later, right?
Yes.
For the time it's noted absent. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Mr. Ureña, you have the floor now. My apologies.
Thank you, Counselor. On November 12th, I sent in a memo to City Council President requesting to be part of this agenda. I'll give a brief highlight reading the first paragraph of that memo, which you may see. Whereas the Lawrence Municipal Airport would like to transfer the amount you stated, $537,382.67 out of our retained revenues account, which has a balance of $708,277. And that is for various projects that the airport requires, and we have met the right guidelines to be able to address now rather than waiting for a subsequent year. One of those tasks is $202,515 for the preliminary work of an upcoming project, which we are in the starting phase of, which is the aviation easement. It is a safety mandated task by the FAA, which requires the airport, through its consultants, to acquire various trees that are abutting various parcels of the approach airspace of the runways in order to keep the airspace safe. This task, once completed, will be subject to a 95% reimbursement by both the state and the federal government. Again, stop me at any time, Counselor, should you have any questions, or you could ask the questions at the end at your pleasure. Another $19,000 would be to cover a change order for a taxiway project. This is our final share of the project, which was completed. This was a $10.5 million taxiway realignment with Taxiway Charlie, which was reconstructed about a year and a half ago now. And this is our final payment, our final share of that 5% of the project, which incurred a change order. The third item is $260,000 in order to cover our share of a site improvement project. This is a non-aviation parcel located at 135 North Ramp Road, which the North Andover Conservation Commission mandated the site to be stabilized and add drainage. We are in the year to be able to take action on that task. And again, once we have this amount of money transferred, we'll be able to create a fund by the rules of our CAFO. Item number 4 is an additional $12,000, or not additional, but $12,000 as part of this request to address some aged trees that we have on the airport itself. These trees are infringing on hangars, then could potentially have an issue if there's a heavy storm, windstorm, snowstorm, or others. So these trees are aged, and we would like to address them by cutting them down with our contractor per city contract. Another additional $30,000 to address or to do a study. This study is in guidance of the FAA, which is a aviation parcel that we would like to convert it to a non-aviation parcel. We will be able to, if leased, to be able to achieve additional revenues for the airport. And as you know, and I think it's important to share that the airport self-sustained, self-sufficient, and by generating these fees, these rental rates of properties is how we generate some of the operating costs at the airport. And item number 6 is $13,867.67 in order to cover our final invoice for a closeout for Taxiway Charlie. During construction, this project experienced additional work. And then again, this is part of our share, which the remaining part of that was covered by state and federal grants. Counselor, that is all I have at this point and that adds up to $537,382.67. Happy to answer any of your questions.
Okay. Counselors, discussion? Questions, concerns? Okay. So I did had notated the $30,000. I wanted to make sure that the fee to do the study was $30,000.
It is $30,000. Part of that, and Counselor, I just want to let you know that the other counselors are muted. I don't know if they were trying to access or they have control to unmute themselves.
They do. They
Okay.
do, or
Yeah,
for
I'm all set.
anyone, okay, for anyone that's joining us today, you could also send me a message via the chat. If for some reason, or you're having technical difficulties, by all means, send me a text message on my personal phone or send me a message via the chat on this platform. So, Ms. Ureña, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was given clarity regarding the fee or for this study. And then part of my other question is, you mentioned to change the parcel from an aviation parcel to a non-aviation parcel. Do you know, do you know, or does the board know what they want to do with this parcel? And if it's non-aviation, what exactly would it be converted to?
So yes, and to answer, let me answer the first question in not the same order. All of these requests have been vetted by the Airport Commission and is with their full support that I bring them before you this evening. The second part of that question is a 30,000 study. Yes, that's in accordance to the FAA, where various environmental studies and impact studies need to be addressed to address any concerns of AMIPA, again, and various other FAA requirements that are part of that. As far as the parcel, a parcel is about 4 acres altogether. It is in the north part of the airport. It is abutting the Merrimack River, and so there is no real use for this space currently. It does have some wetlands that cross through it. It has a very high pitch. I'm happy to give you a tour, counselor, or any counselors for that matter, to show you exactly what we're discussing this evening. And so it again, with the support of the Airport Commission, they understand that this parcel is just with the topography is tree covered currently. And so there will be some subsequent work by any investor or requester or any person building on this site to make it viable. We have received some interest from through the Airport Commission of some abutting neighbors or businesses, and as you know, we are in a very highly dense commercial industrial zone. So let me give you the order. The parcel is deemed aviation, and we go through the process of making a non-aviation. Then we put together an RFP for a period of time where the public or anybody looking to lease this property can apply for it. It has already been appraised, and so we do have an appraisal cost per square footage on that. Should you need that information, Counselor?
Okay. I'm all set. So just to make sure, no further discussions based on new information that we received. Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for a
I make a
recommendation.
motion to send this up to the full council as a favorable recommendation.
Motion was made. Can I get a second? Oh, well, I could second it. Second. Madam, call the roll.
Sure. Counselor Wendy Luzon,
Yes.
Counselor Vivian Marmol,
Yes.
Counselor Stephanie Infante,
Yes.
and Council President Giovanni Rodriguez noted absent.
Okay, and the
Motion
motion carries. All right, thank you, Mr. Ureña. Thank you for your patience. I'll see you at the full council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 45525, the authorization to expend $256,500 on the Mass Save Grant funds. Do we have our acting director, or is there anyone from that department on behalf of Ms. Pascual, who I have on my agenda, who would be speaking in regards to this item?
Good evening, Councilor Marmol. Dan McCarthy here. I am with the Office of Planning and Development. I am the planning director for the city. I am also the agent for the Green Communities Program and have worked on many of the municipal energy programs over the years. So I'm here to speak on behalf of this.
Okay,
Also,
thank you.
also joining me is Mr. Anil Navkal. Mr. Navkal is the special consultant to the mayor on energy, environment, and sustainability. And we're both here to present and answer any questions you might have.
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, Madam Chair.
through you, I just want to make a quick statement. It's something that I mentioned during the full council meeting yesterday. I've been in for Director McCarthy for future agenda items. I've been asking for, it's gonna be like 2 months now regarding the acting role. This acting role has not been reauthorized by the city council, so I want everybody to be on the same page as that, especially when putting things on the item. I would like to see things, if you are part of it, Director McCarthy, and you're overseeing something, I would rather see you submitting things on the agenda until this portion of the situation gets resolved within the council and the department.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I will do so.
Okay, you may proceed.
Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Dan McCarthy. I'm here to present on an application before this commission, before this council, to request the expenditures of funds that are being made available through a program called Mass Save. It's a program that's existed for a number of years. Cities wanted to participate in this for a while. We recently got our electrical programs set up, and we're doing more outreach to try and save the citizens of Lawrence funding and in their electric bills and help them navigate the different programs for maintaining their houses with more energy consistency. Again, the funding that we're asking for is a sum of $256,500. That now is a 3-year grant. The primary function is to hire an advocate who will work for the city, and it will work directly with the public, helping them fill out applications, helping them with the paperwork, assisting them with the different programs of energy efficiency that Mass Save program allows. It also has somebody for engagement, public outreach, and things of that nature. The program is funded by utility fees that are taken back by the energy companies, and this money is being returned to the city through funding from both Eversource and National Grid. They will both pay a portion of this money. It'll cost the city nothing towards the program. Again, it is primarily a project to help with the residents of the city. A lot of these programs can be complicated, and the idea of energy fixing their houses with energy efficiency projects can be complicated. So that's what the purpose of this is to work with them and the Mass Save program to bring this funding to them. I have Mr. Anil Navkar. I'll let Anil, if you'd like to speak any more on the project, I'd love for you to do so.
Thank you, McCarthy. Thank you, Mr. Councilors and the Chair, for allowing me to participate in this important conversation. Mass Save is paid by small charge on everybody's gas and electric bills. It's a totally ratepayers funded program. The money belongs to the ratepayers. And why this matters to Lawrence is that historically communities like Lawrence have not received our fair share. The awareness has been low, and many renters and small businesses have missed out on getting the benefits. Mass Save appealed to us, partnered with us, and they are ready to now work with us to fix this anomaly and the injustice of not getting the funding to the ratepayers. What the Energy Advocate does is a local point of contact who helps residents and small businesses learn about the programs, complete the enrollments. This is an outreach and enrollment role. City will not do technical assessment or installation. Mass Save vendors, along with Greater Lawrence GLCSC, will be there to help the ratepayers. That's their responsibility. We hand over that to them, and they take over. The total funding that we have requested is about $256,000, not about, it's exactly $2,566 through March 2028, out of which Eversource will pitch in $110,295, and National Grid will pitch in $146,205. Mass Save will cover outreach events costs, either directly or by reimbursement. Final details are being worked out. So over and above the money they have committed to pay the energy advisor, they will also are committed to pay for events that we'll be organizing. We are thinking of organizing 200 landlords with electric and oil heat, get invited and explain them the benefits they may get. Through them, we can approach the renters. But this is a very massive undertaking. Next 2-3 years, 2.5 years, we will be engaged with ratepayers across the board at scale. It's a unique program. we are the only city we have taken this kind of role of actively engaging landlords. Massive has struggled to get landlords on board. We said that we can come up with some innovative programs. We've done a lot of work to do that. But for the last 2.5 years, we've been working nonstop. This is the culmination of that effort. This is really us helping the ratepayers deal with the energy burden we have. Tonight, ask is please authorize the city to expend the $256,500 in massive grant funds for energy advocates compensation, so we can start helping more Lawrence families and small business, small owners. Once you approve the program, we will start the process of creating the position, advertising the position, go through the HR, and then publicize it. And then based on the interviews and such, we will select the right person. That's the process. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have me. I thank you again for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much. Discussions, questions, counselors?
No.
Oh.
Madam Chair, can I make a motion? Any
Sure.
question? Motion to send to the full council with favorable recommendation.
Can I get a second? Okay, Madam, call the roll. Madam Clerk,
Yeah, who seconded that? I didn't.
Councilor
Yes.
Infante,
Okay, thank you. Councilor Infante,
Yes.
Councilor Wendy Luzon,
Yes.
and Councilor, I'm sorry, Councilor Vivian Marmol,
yes.
and Council President Giovanni Rodriguez noted absent this time.
Okay, the
Motion
motion carries.
carries.
All right, the next item on the agenda is item 45625, the approval of tax increment exemption agreement between 216 Canal Street LLC and the City of Lawrence. Mr. McCarthy, I believe you're here for this item as well?
Yes, I am. I'm also here with Jesus Trejo, who is one of the principals of 216 Canal Street LLC. They are a local developer who's been working on this project for several years. The building identified at 216 Canal is the historic Pemberton Mill. The project is going to be a multi-million-dollar development project. We've submitted this tie agreement, which is a tax incentive program to develop market rate housing through the program called HDIP. This has already been reviewed by the State Housing Development. We've had some conversations with them as well about the program of this project. As part of the program, on the city side, it provides tax incentives through a increment program in the first 5 years of the building's operation. But it also provides on the state level state tax credits, which can be useful for developers who are doing a project that the state approves and finds it to be highly advantageous. We believe this project is to be one of them. I think the city's position is that a lot of investment has gone in by the Trejo brothers already. They're building a $2.1 million bridge over the North Canal at their cost. This was a project that was inherited from Iron Horse, who previously owned the demolished bridge that was sitting there. They're making this 2 ways at the behest of the city fire department so that the largest equipment can cross there and that there'll be 2-way traffic. I have with me Mr. Jesus Trejo, who can talk about the project itself. I can answer any questions that you wish on the program, and I'll leave it to your pleasure.
Oh, yeah, I want to hear the details. That's why we're here.
I'm sorry, are we doing questions or are we continuing with the presentation?
I think Mr. Trejo wanted.
Okay, sorry.
Hey, good evening. Yeah, just to summarize what we're doing there, like Dan was saying, the bridge has been basically out of use for about 40 years. We're kind of starting with that just to gain our access back to that building. As far as on the development side, what we're doing there is 99 units. It's a mix of studios. Well, there's only 2 studios, but most of it's 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and a couple of 3 bedrooms in there. And then all our parking is going to be on site. There's 136 parking spots. It's going to be on the first floor and the second floor of the building. And we're trying to get this tie agreement because the state does have some grant money for projects such as this. But one of the conditions from the state is to have a tie agreement in place. And the state feels that this is a good candidate for a project to receive a HDIP award, or at least try to.
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair, I also have a comment.
Okay, so discussions. Councilor Luzon, did you have a question or were you planning on submitting a
No.
motion at this time?
no, not a motion.
Okay, so,
Today is not a
Um,
lucky day, Madam Chair.
okay,
Um,
Councilor Luzon, go ahead, you have the
I
floor.
do, they mentioned a bridge, so before I go to questions in regards to the units, who owns the bridge? And they already invested a lot of money into this bridge. I would like to know who owns the bridge now.
So that bridge belongs to our building, to 216 Canal Street.
Well, how did that happen? How can a bridge belongs to a private entity?
So I can explain the canal itself is owned by Patriot Hydro, formerly the Essex Company, and they own that as an asset. When they subdivided all the industrial parcels, they divided them up and then gave certain equipment went with those parcels. So this bridge was part of the infrastructure that provided access to the Pemberton Mill back when it was an industrial mill. It's one of the oldest mill buildings in the city. It has a long history. For about 25 years, it was being used just as by Iron Horse Storage, which kept medical records there. So it was very underutilized, didn't provide jobs or really anything productive to the city. And the development of the housing I think is going to be a great deal. So if you look down, there's several bridges that run across them. There's a diagonal train bridge, which used to belong to the B&M Railroad. The city owns that. That's the only one that the city owns. The others either belong to Pacific Mills or I think the Washington Mill. But they're all every bridge across is privately owned.
Exactly. All the bridges are privately owned, but the land, the waterway and the land over the bridge is all owned by Patriot Hydro. So it's a combination of both. But like you said, Dan, the canal's owned by the Patriot Hydro, and all those bridges are privately owned, except for that pedestrian bridge that the city owns.
Councilor Luzon, do you have any further questions?
I will take a minute to think. But I mean, I'm assuming that Councilor Infante has questions, so.
She does, so I just wanted to make sure I don't want to, since you have the floor right now. But
Yes, Madam
Okay.
Chair, what is concerning is to hear entities and nothing to do with this entity in particular, is to hear that this pieces of land that's supposed to, from my perspective, supposed to belong to the city, they are privately owned. A bridge that's supposed to belong to everyone. It's concerning, but I do understand the explanation offered by the.
Yeah, can I address the council's concern? I think she's concerned that it'd be a private bridge, in that the and that the owner of the bridge could refuse access on that bridge. That is not the case. All of the individuals within the North Canal Island, as we describe it.
Councilor Luzon, could you mute yourself for the time being?
Yeah. So there are easement rights for other parties to pass. And anybody who's going to those buildings have a right to cross those bridges. More particularly, the fire department was adamant that they wanted more access to the island. As the number of people living on the island increased, they wanted better access. They wanted the ability to go in circles to get to certain buildings from different points. So a lot of it is related to safety. Again, they're private bridges maintained for the purpose of the projects themselves. They were originally used for the employees to get to work in those mills years ago. But now, again, there is a comprehensive right for everybody to pass. It doesn't mean trespassers and people like that can enter into the property and trespass because they are privately owned. But again, there's a common easement notion throughout. So again, and I don't believe the Trejo brothers will be looking to put gates on this project or anything else. But is that accurate, Jesus?
Councilor Luzon, did you have a question or a rebuttal? Councilor Luzon,
Hello, can you hear me, Madam Chair?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So, how can they assure that this is going to be the situation? Because I know that in certain cities, you find private ways, and you can actually read signs telling the pedestrians that they cannot basically get in there without trespassing. I don't know if that will be the situation. Well, in Methuen, we have they have private ways. I mean, how can we assure that at some point these bridges are not going to become private ways for the developers?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is like Dan said. I mean, I know right off the bat that like Union Canal, they have easement rights over that bridge. I mean, right now they have a parking lot in the back, but technically they do have easement rights to use that to go over that bridge through our property. And like Dan said, I think originally we were gonna put a 1-lane bridge there because that's what was there before. But the fire department did want a 2-lane bridge, which we worked with them and honored. But I don't know how to answer that question, to be honest with you, because I mean, you could say that about all those bridges on the canal. Technically, they're all privately owned, so everyone, Pacific Mills, 240, I'm sorry, 250 Canal, they're all, or even my bridge. I guess all the private owners are, fiscally responsible for those bridges, but I don't know how to answer that question, to be honest. I don't know what's keeping them from doing it, but I think, like Dan said, there's a lot of underlying easements in there that have just been existing for, since the beginning of time.
If I may interject for a little bit, how long has this particular bridge, let's focus on this bridge. How long has this bridge been privately owned?
Probably almost 100 years.
Almost 100?
Yep.
Okay. Councilor Luzon, any last questions before I give the floor to our Madam Chair Infante?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to you. I do understand the history behind that bridge and the other bridge, but it's still us as a city, we should be, because now that may be an issue because we know that the Trejos family has been investing daycare, they know the city, and they do an amazing job with their properties. But I'm just concerning about any future.
We understand your concerns, Counselor.
Yeah, so
Just
it's
because
so we.
it's not city owned, I feel like had it been city owned, we would have the leeway to kind of put our own demands and requests, but because it's privately owned, you know, our Madam Chair could correct me if I'm wrong, or anyone, Mr. McCarthy, Director, being that this is your line of work, due to the fact that it's been privately owned for as long as it has, I don't think we, you know, that is not something that we could debate at this time in regards to the ownership of the bridge. It's moving forward as to what they're trying to do with the property, with the tax incentive.
No, I know, Madam Chair, I understand that. My question is for the director. How can we, for the future, or for the present, prevent any developer to, let's say, prohibit anyone that doesn't rent in those buildings to drive by? Because I've seen streets in Methuen that they have signs. They basically privately owned ways,
So
and they're still in the city.
I'm familiar.
Uh,
I'm familiar with some of the ones in Methuen, and a lot of those, you're going into a private area where the entire property is owned by one entity. But that's
okay,
isn't the bridge. We have the same situation up in the Malden Mills area. The city owns property back there, and we have city rights to cross through the various entryways and the various roads within that complex. Same thing with people who might be going to the fruteria market or going to work at one of the businesses there. So it's the same situation here. There are some
okay,
commercial businesses there. People who would be going to work at those businesses are entitled to get on the island to any of the three bridges that access across that island bridge. And I don't think any developer, I think the city would be concerned if any developer put up some kind of barricade, and would not think highly of that, and would take steps.
and thank you for explaining that, but I mean, why can the city take steps now before? And I'm not concerned about the Trejos family. I'm concerned about any future. Just to put it out there, because I know we're talking about
Yeah.
tax incentive and all that.
Yeah,
That we should take precaution. We should be careful now instead of waiting for something like that to happen.
mhm.
It's a concern that I have, and I hope it's taken into consideration. Thank you, Madam Chair.
No problem. I believe our Madam Chair Infante had a few questions.
I do, thank you. I maybe more of comments than anything, but first I want to say, I know, Dan, you sent over supporting documents and I emailed you back, received, but I haven't had the chance to look at those documents.
Mhm.
I've been in meeting after meeting after meeting, and I always say this to you, please stop sending things the day of, because we need it. We
Okay.
need it beforehand to review that, and even though we get these presentations, within those documents, there are more details that perhaps could be forgotten or et cetera. That I know, at least this counselor, I read through mostly everything.
Yeah.
Um,
I sent those out last week. I don't know if you got it or not, but
I don't, okay, so I'll double check that. So if you did, I apologize, but the email that I saw was the one today, that was sent today, but that's very minute, when it comes to this issue. I first want to say, I have heard great things about the Trejo brothers. I haven't had the privilege, I think, of meeting them in person or working with them. However, I do have an issue with this project. So we are looking to add 99 units at market rate. And we're looking to give a tax incentive to the developer. And I think Director McCarthy, you've heard me say this many times. The issue that we have, and I know housing is there's a housing crisis across the state, across the nation. I 100% understand that, but it's not necessarily a housing crisis. It's really affordability. We keep approving market rate, market rate, market rate. Some don't agree to having a percentage of affordable or income-based units. Some do. And if they do, and I'm keeping this general, I've never heard of this issue with the Trejo brothers, but and if they do, it's a lot of buts and ifs and et cetera. And here we are giving them tax incentive. We are in a city that we are every day, there's a growing issue of illegal room renting because people cannot afford to live in our community. That's a real issue. And the ones that get stuck with all those issues is ISD and the city councilors. So we keep, I think it's great. I'm not against developing our city. I think it's needed. But I'm also wondering when is there going to be a balance between developing and moving our city forward and really addressing the actual needs of our community? And Madam Vice Chair, that's the only comment I have on this.
No, I am so glad that you mentioned that because I was chairing this meeting. The way I conduct the meetings when I'm chairing it is that I try to allow for all the participating committee members to discuss and ask their questions, and I'll leave myself for last. And that is one of the things that I was going to bring up. So I jotted it down, 99 residential units out of the 99. Nowhere in this paperwork did I see anything that discusses a portion of those units being low income. So I don't want to make assumptions. This is why we're having these preliminary meetings before sending it to the full council. So if there's an explanation for that, if there's a science behind this, by all means, I would love to hear it.
I'd be glad to respond to that.
Yeah, Dan, you want me to make what I was gonna say is so right now we have 82 units right now. Out of our 82 units, all 82 of them meet the affordability requirements in the Merrimack Valley. All 82 out of 82. A problem that happens sometimes is when you're doing affordable housing, you can either do all affordable or you can do there's not really a center line, because a lot of times with these banks, they almost factor in that because I'm already meeting this threshold. But if I had, say for example, I did 20% affordable, now I need to have a third party company that oversees this, and that cost is give or take $40,000-$50,000 a year to have them oversee and almost do these annual audits. And for me, it just makes it tough to do it because I'm already meeting those thresholds with my rent prices, because I'm already in those thresholds for my 2 bedrooms, my 1 bedrooms. But now what's happening is these banks are looking at the money that my building's bringing in, and they're saying your income is $50,000 less. So it almost makes the project unfeasible unless you go and do something where it's 60, 80, or 100% affordable. But quite frankly, I don't have the capacity to do that. I don't have the grant underwriters or the wherewithal to do something like that. But I'd be happy to share like a rent roll. And like I said, 100% of my units meet that affordability component in Massachusetts, which right now I think a 2-bedroom Dan and Lawrence it's $2,250. All of ours are probably $200, $300 beneath that.
And I'd like to kind of just talk about the program itself. HDIP was designed as a program specifically to encourage the development of market rate housing in communities like Lawrence. It's part of the award criteria looks to economic justice communities that don't have access to this. I know for years we were always asking for some type of program to assist developers in communities like Lawrence for the development of market rate housing. There was a time I can remember years going by, and maybe even a decade, where not one market rate project was built in the city. Everything was done under affordable, and I use the term affordable. I don't like to use low income, but the affordable limits were done. And these units weren't being built at 20 or 40% affordable. They're 100% affordable. And I have no problem with that. I work with those nonprofits who develop those projects. There's already a couple hundred units on this island that are all affordable. But again, the city wants to see a diversity of housing, and these programs are done to incentivize that.
Madam Chair. I'm sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the market has been very strong for the last 8 years for developing market rate housing. That's partly because there's a crisis, I think, from the underdevelopment of residential housing and the population growth within in the state. So it is a real problem. I won't deny that, but I think the development of any new property is going to decrease the burden by, like, again, just creating the opportunity for more people to have a place to live. So again, the program is made specifically for market rate housing, and it's not really like taking money away from affordability, but that's what the project is geared towards.
So just to gain clarity, you said the HDIP program is specifically for market rate units. They are not with the HDIP, they're not allowed to
You can do affordability.
okay.
You can
Madam Chair.
up to 20%.
Councilor Infante, you have the floor.
Thank you. I have two things. I first want to say thank you to Mr. Trejo. I think we've conducted many of these meetings, and as I've said the first time, you hear a lot of buts and ifs, and you gave us a well-detailed reason, and I followed you and I understood, and I appreciate that. So I first want to say thank you. But now going to Director McCarthy. Director, you. Why did it take for Council Marmol to ask you that question again, to say that within this program there is a 20% affordable housing option for it? Because when you originally presented this program in a response to what I said, you said specifically this is for market rate. That's one. Secondly, almost all besides Greater Lawrence Community Action Council's project, almost all of the housing projects that have been coming before the city council have all been market rate. You guys are not even trying to help out our community. Yes, we have a housing crisis, but it's not because we're lacking housing. Because I can go into Pacific Mills, Washington Mills, all these mills, and print out all the available apartments right now. And it's not because, again, it's not because we're lacking. It's because of affordability. And working for the city, the issue that we also have, and I mention this again, with illegal room renting. With that being said, I don't understand. I'm getting tired as a counselor of hearing this is what the community needs, this is what the community needs. When as a counselor myself, I am speaking directly to the average Laurentian. I am learning and hearing about their daily challenges. And it's like, what are we talking about, that this is what the community needs, or et cetera. are we actually doing our research as a community at the city hall level? Because I know this is what I'm hearing as a counselor. So where is the disconnect when it comes to developing our community?
Well, I have a housing development production plan that'll be coming before you, and that outlines everything, what the concerns and the needs of the city. And it's going to directly state that the city needs a wide array of housing. It needs housing for elderly, it needs housing for families, it needs housing for single individuals. So there is no one group in the city that is satisfied with the amount of housing they have. Everybody needs housing. And I disagree with you when you said that I'm insinuating that I'm misrepresenting. I was never asked the issue whether or not I said the program allowed affordable housing. I said the proposal, it was done directly to create affordable a program to address developers who want to build market rate housing. Part of the reason there's a 20% affordability in it is because many of the cities have adopted smart growth districts, which require a 20% affordable requirement, so that we want the projects to be able to get the same funding here, qualify for housing development, build the 20% within the districts, and get the housing HDIP incentives as well. We want to encourage all kinds of growth. And again, like you said, the Trejos have done a great job in the city with development, a number of projects. And again, they're taking on a great cost in the increments of building this this bridge, which will be for the benefit of everybody on that island, and for the safety.
All right. Thank you, Director McCarthy, and I look forward to reviewing those data points that you're going to present to us.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Councilor Wilson, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Yes.
I have our council president who raised his hand, and because he hasn't said anything, I just want to give him the floor. We'll
Okay.
circle back though, so please
Thank you, Madam Chair.
take a, yeah, put a pin on it, don't forget.
Hold on, Madam. Council
Could
Bamor,
you call the
I
roll
need to
for
call
Mr.
roll call for Council President Giovanni Rodriguez.
Yes, please.
Present.
Thank you.
Council President, you have the
A
floor.
couple of things that we need to bring to the table. Hello, hi, how you guys doing, everybody? Giovanni Rodriguez, the City Council President. Couple of things that we need to bring to the discussion. The first thing we need to bring, I don't know if that was part of the discussion originally, is that that specific building laid down into an area that is 20%. It's supposed to be 20% affordable. Also, it is important to recognize that because it's under the overlay area that is supposed to happen that way. But also having discussions throughout, I can also see that it was based on not a requirement as we did it on other overlays. That we did it by ordinance. Instead, we adopt a chapter, I believe chapter 40R on this area, and then since then it's supposed to be 40%, 20% affordable. If I correct, Mr. McCarthy, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
So that is correct. The 40R program is a permitting overlay district. It doesn't change the underlying zoning, and that's not the requirement of it. It's not the state's purpose to force people to put affordable housing in it as part. What they do is they provide an incentive to build an affordable housing by allowing this 40R permitting right, which gives you more advantageous for density on certain variances, limits the parking, and makes doesn't require special permits, which makes it easier to get your financing and do several things. So we strongly encourage people to use the program if they wish, but the city, our city departments aren't here to try and force anybody to accept that. They have the right to option out and go through the regular process, which requires the variances and requires getting a special permit I've included both of the decisions in your packages from the zoning board and the planning board. If they had gone through the 40R process, it would have been an expedited process, and they would have been, it would have been less paperwork and in an easier project for them. But the developer opted not to do that. I actually had a long discussion with the Trejo brothers years ago about the benefits of doing 40R, but they determined that was not what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I understand. That was gonna be part of my discussion that you guys, the developer, the Trejo brothers and the city have discussed this, I believe back probably 3, 4, 5 years ago, since they started working on this project.
Mhm.
To see if they can become part of 40R, which allows the project to be 20% affordable, but as Jesus just mentioned, that's going to require a lot more when it comes to the developer, a yearly expenditure. He just mentioned that it's going to be about $50,000. But that's one of the things that we need to also bring up to the discussion, because the reason why the city actually adopts this 40I district or overlays is to ensure that, projects around those areas, for specific reason that the city have this designate, are important to be with a portion of affordable housing. That's put us, as we just discussed, as an option, not an obligation. Different than other sections of the city that perhaps in Canal Street, we actually put that by law. And that's a requirement. Just out of transparency, I want to bring this up, so this can be part of the discussion as well, if we choose to go ahead and give the tax incentive to the treasurer, to the developer. Another thing that I want to bring up is McCarthy, I have a quick question, and I don't know how the discussion evolved between the developer and the city, and perhaps the state, when it comes to the bridge. I see that you guys are gonna rebuild a bridge to be able to get access to the project, and also, is that if I read correctly, I mean, I think that the developer is the one that's gonna be paying for to renew the bridge, or to get a better, not to maintain it, but perhaps to fix it. And if that's the case, I want to know, like, as far as I understand, those bridges are along the canal, either belong to the city or belong to the state. And I want to know, like, what is the type of conversation that have evolved throughout, how that's gonna work out, and how, I just don't know. I mean, can you explain a little more on that?
Yeah, I'll probably let Mr. Trejo speak towards what he's spent on the construction of the bridge and on that stuff. We did have a short discussion earlier about the ownership of the bridge. So over the North Canal, the city owns 5 bridges, take that, and they're all on the public streets. That would be the one at Island Street, the one at Union Street, the one at the Central Bridge, and the one at the Falls Bridge. We also own the train bridge, which is right next to this bridge. It's a pedestrian bridge. Those are
Hold on, McCarthy.
Yep.
What can you just go slowly on those bridges that you
Sure. So we own the one at Island Street.
the one on Island Street, on Union Street?
The one down near the 40 Island Street project that goes across. It was newly built about 15 years ago.
So that's the one that is going
Island
to
Canal.
Union Street, right?
It comes out right near the Gateway parking lot and on Canal in.
Okay,
Yeah.
the
So
first one.
That's one
farther
closest,
out.
yes. Then we have the one over Union Street, which is currently under contract to be repaired. That is the Lucchese Bridge, and that's
Yeah.
Union Street is on that. Then we own the bridge right next to that. That's a big steel bridge. That's a pedestrian bridge, and we bought that from B&M Railroad about 15 years ago. We also own the Amesbury Street Bridge, which goes onto the Central Bridge. That crosses the canal. And we own the one, you can barely even tell it's a bridge, but the one at Water Street, Canal Street, and Broadway. So those are the bridges that we do own. All the other bridges are privately owned by either different developer, project owners or building owners. When the Essex company sold these parcels to mill owners, they either had to build their own bridges or they bought the bridges that were there. It's the same thing with all the water infrastructure within the canal. The canals are owned by Essex Company or Patriot Hydro, now how we call it. But all the other mechanical aspects of those canals, the raceways, the generators, all those type of things are owned by the individual property owners.
That's correct.
Yep. So that was all part of the sale of these projects when the city became privatized after about 1880.
Okay. So that bridge is specifically the one that is kind of like the green structure, the steel structure on top, that's
Yeah.
early on.
So that bridge was a one-lane bridge and it belonged to the Iron Horse Company who sold that building. It's the Pemberton Mill building. So that was always the bridge that serviced the Pemberton Mill. There used to be physically, you couldn't get from one part to the other because of certain levels, but now the whole island is wide open. They've demolished probably 3 or 4 major mill buildings inside that complex. So now the property's all wide open, and there's a number of easements throughout this island that allows you to go from one building to the other building on these roadways, and you can't deny access to one of the other owners. Same thing if one of those buildings has a business, people attending those businesses, there used to be a storage company in the mill building in the back. People who were going there for the store things had a right to use any of the bridges crossing the canal to get in there. So even though they're privately owned, they cannot be privately controlled in such a manner.
Understand. All right. All right. I just want to bring this up as part of the discussion as well, because I think that it will be essential so we can get a full pictures of that this project or any other project around that, due to the fact that potentially we are going to be partaking of the near future of the project by providing the developer with a tax incentive.
Yes.
So the last question I have, Mr. McCarthy, is can you provide a list of already like current projects that have this incentive that we for the last 10 years perhaps?
Yeah, I have that at home. Do you want the Thai ones, the TIF ones, or all of them? I can provide you all of them. I know
did make the distinction between the two.
they're all. It's a spreadsheet with them all identifying the different programs.
Yeah.
And the 2 major programs is the Thai agreement, which is done by the Housing and Living Communities, and the TIF agreement, which is done by Department of Economic Development, State Department of Economic Development. One program is to create jobs. One program is to create housing.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So I can provide you all that. I think for the last 20 years, I have that at home.
I thought that the one that we are discussing today, if it doesn't have a economic development factor, does not necessarily come in front of the council for approval.
This one is going to have an economic development factor. Mr. Trejo has already spoken with the State Department of Housing and Living Communities. They think this is a very interesting project. They think it will qualify for some of the state tax credits. We've been successful in the past with a couple of other developers who have gotten that money. And again, that's money that's put aside from communities like Lawrence that needs assistance with the development of housing.
Okay, if that's the case, and then I think that it will be extremely important because what we are doing is not necessarily doing a tax credit based on the amount of units that they're going to be creating.
Right.
Instead, what we are doing is providing a tax incentive based on the amount of jobs that they're going to be creating on that space.
No, that's
Regardless.
no,
That's a tax.
that's the TIF.
Yeah, that's the tax.
If they were a commercial, if they were a business, they're coming in, they say, we're going to create $300,000 jobs, they would get a tax credit on the building based upon the number of jobs. The tie agreement is from the housing and living communities, which gives the incentive towards housing development.
And then can you, that I going back to 2 seconds ago when I said, if we just providing the tax incentive based on housing,
Yep.
the city council does not have to vote on this, but the fact that we are actually having a commercial tie to the project, and then we are providing an opinion and potential approval by the council. Am I correct? That you a couple of seconds ago.
The state requires the approval of the project in the city's investment in the project by adopting a tie agreement with this developer. Our tie agreement is set as a fixed number. It's a 5-year tie, beginning at 50%, then going 40, 30, 20, 10. So that is the lowest tie agreement that the state will accept as a city's contribution. The other money comes from housing and living communities, and it's a tax credit for the development of the project in whole, but it's for a housing project, not for a commercial project creating jobs. And they give this out to a limited number of projects throughout the state. So everybody who gets a tie agreement does not get the tax credit. The tax credit is a state incentive. They do, I think, Jesus, is it 2 rounds a year, I believe?
Except this year they had 3 rounds.
Okay.
They had 3 rounds. I think the state gets allotted about $40 million a year. But in order to be able to apply, I mean, there's no guarantee that we're even going to get it. But in order to be able to apply, the requirement is to have a tie agreement with the city in place in order to even do an application with them.
Okay, understand. Okay. See, those are the type of things that I need to bring. I don't know if I joined late in the conversation, but I mean, I hope that I did, and I didn't get those. So that way it's my fault. But if we didn't have that, if you guys didn't have that conversation in place, I think it's essential. I mean, I hope that I was late and I missed that.
No, you brought out some good points, Council President.
All right, I just gonna let other councilors.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, Councilor Luzon, I believe you had something that you needed to say prior. You have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, through you. So I am kind of confused here because when you asked Mr. Trejo about affordable housing, he mentioned that it was a difficult route to take for developers because they needed they either do market rate and not affordable housing. Like and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Trejo. You were asked at the beginning of the meeting how many units were affordable. And you explained why it's so difficult to do both. Is that accurate? Or I misunderstood?
It really comes down to really just the financing aspect. So, like, for example, today, I mean, without diving too far into it, but when I go to a bank to go get financing, all they care about is what profit is in it at the end of the year. And just to give you an example, today it changes all the time depending on where interest rates are, but let's call it, maybe for every $15,000 or so of profit that a building can produce in a year, they almost value that at $1 million. So in having something like this audit in place that's going to cost me like $50,000 a year, I got to come up with $3 million more to be able to fund this project, just because the bank's not going to put up that $3 million. So that's why we've been stuck for 3 or 4 years. It's been because of financing. So for me to be able to do something like use that smart growth overlay, I just can't make it work because the finances, they just don't make sense to me because I don't have that extra $3 million of equity to make it work. And I actually, Dan and I looked at, I mean, this is going back 3 years ago. We did look at doing the smart growth overlay.
Mhm.
And I literally had a comparison from the same bank and the difference of equity at that time, and interest rates were much less. This is going back 3.5 years ago. It was $2.6 million less than they were willing to finance.
Yeah.
And again, it works when you could do 100% affordable, because at that point you can qualify for some of those other grants. The only grant that, if you're doing 20% affordable, the only grant you can even qualify in Massachusetts is the HDIP, because you're not going to be competitive going against someone like, say, Lawrence Community Works is doing 100% affordable, but they qualify for all the state grants.
Okay, but thank you so much for going over that point again. So here's my concern, Director McCarthy. In order, the 40R district, it's affordable housing is required.
No, it's not.
Is no?
No. If the 40R is not a district, it's an overlay district.
Overlay, okay.
An overlay is a permitting scheme that's placed in a certain geographic area to encourage the use of certain tools to permit. And the state uses the 40R by creating certain guidelines and making it much easier for you to get your permits to build if you choose to do what they ask. And that requires 20% affordability, and then meeting certain design criteria that's set up by the city of how they want the housing built, whether it's in historic neighborhoods or whether it's mixed use requirements, like say on Essex Street. Those are the types of it's an incentive program. Now, I've been doing this for quite a while. We've had a 40R district since 2006, and I have never done a 40R project that only did 20% affordability. That's the minimum, but I think every single project did 100%, because as Jesus mentioned, there's these things called light credits or low income development credits. There's also historic project credits, and there's a number of other types of incentive plans through the one-stop process with the state that makes it very much easier to do the affordable housing if you've got the right project and you can acquire the land cheaply, and certain elements have to work. We've worked very closely with Lawrence Community Works, Bread and Roses Housing. What are some of the others? But we've done a lot of development in this. Trinity Construction, we did about 180 units of affordable housing at the Malden Mill site. We're currently working on 150 units of housing with Lawrence Community Works at the Mariner Mill building. Again, that's on Broadway. So there are projects going on that are being permitted for this. And again, I'm glad to work with any developer in the city who wants to bring a good project to the city.
But this one, we are not going to expect any affordable units. It's going to be market rate.
What's the question?
For this project
Yep.
that you're presenting tonight, we are not expecting any affordable unit. Only market rate.
I think you need to speak to Mr. Trejo.
Mr. Trejo just explained it to us,
Yeah.
how difficult it is to get finance, how difficult it is to get those projects financed when it's a mix.
Yeah,
He explained it to us.
I understand.
And I just want the people that are watching to understand the differences, and that nothing against Mr. Trejo project, because we know that his projects are good for the city, but also we need to understand what we are given and what are we getting back as a city. So that's why I'm asking those questions.
Okay.
Madam Chair, thank you.
Okay, any further discussions? Okay, seeing none, my lasting remarks is I've been left confused in terms of like Mr. Trejo, and I hope he does understand, Mr. Trejo, that this is not personal. The questions that are being asked at this moment, for this item, had it been any developer, it would be the same line of questioning. And I am familiar with some of the properties that you own. And it's good to see people within the city of Lawrence be, developing within our community and pushing our city forward. But with that being said, I feel like I'm having a hard time with getting a clear-cut answer. It's like one minute we're being told that some of these, so it's 99 units. From the 99, my understanding it's that none of them are affordable, not even 20%, not less than 20%. I know I'm gonna have, me personally, I'll speak for myself. I'm having a hard time to justify me approving a project like this, despite that I am so pro development. This project itself sounds amazing, but that seems to be the one thing that it's holding me back.
Madam Chair?
Oh, you have the floor, Council President.
Yes, I will suggest the
Wait, I
following.
wanted to hear Councilors Marmol. We don't know if she finished her statement or not. I wanted to hear the rest of that.
So just to summarize, my thought process was, I'm just having a hard time to justify to my constituents how we're going to approve a 99 residential unit project and not one unit is affordable. Although I sympathize with Mr. Trejo's challenges with the banking. I feel like that's what I'm hearing, that the challenges with banking, backing, and supporting this type of project would not financially make sense for Mr. Trejo. But on the city's end, I don't see how I am able to justify approving something like this. I do want to ask, our council president requested, he requested, what is it, the last 20 years?
He asked for a spreadsheet of
A
those.
spreadsheet. In that spreadsheet, are we able to see how many of these agreements included affordable housing and how many of these projects didn't?
I'm not sure. I'll pull it up tomorrow on my computer.
So I'm intrigued with that. How many have we approved in the last 20 years? I just want to keep it in line with what our council president had requested. How
Well,
many?
The HDIP program's only been around for about 7 years, so
So then the last 7 years.
sure.
No, because I mean, I request more than that.
Like I said, the spreadsheet, I can give you the whole spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm intrigued in terms of how many have been approved, how many projects we've approved under the HDIP where it was just market rate units, and how many did we approve with some affordable housing units. And now I'm intrigued at how many and which developers did more than the 20%, which is the minimum. I'm intrigued.
I
If
think
that is,
I think the
Yes.
short answer, and I because I've been doing them all for
Goodness.
is that I don't think anybody who's gotten the HDIP has done any affordable housing, and I don't think anybody that's done the 40R units has done any market rate housing.
say that again?
I don't think anybody who's used the 40R program to do affordable housing has done any market rate housing. They've done 100% affordable housing. There's one building I know that used the Reviviendo. Actually, I take that back. The Washington Mill did it back in 2006 or 2007. They have 20% affordability. That's the only one I know of. And then there's another building that did 10% under the old, they both have 10%, because that's what the Reviviendo overlay district from 23 years ago was 10% affordability.
Okay, I love the data that you're giving me
But
now, but I'm
I'll-
not gonna
I'll-
retain it. So I'm still gonna request the past 7 years that this program has been alive, that you provide me with insight.
I'll do that, and then I'll do the research, and I can probably mark down the amount of the percentage of affordabilities for you.
Okay, and could you add also how many are compliant? Sometimes we approve these projects and it's just, we never look back. So,
Yeah, I had this discussion with the housing and in living communities department, because everybody who opts into the 40-hour program uses the low income tax credits. They all report to the state for that. So I can provide you, I can talk to some of them and see if I can get you some of the materials on that. But my gut feeling is that they're all compliance because the state oversees those.
okay. Madam Clerk, I want to make sure that you are retaining all the requests that has been made. I know it could be extensive, but please let me know that you're good with the information that we have requested. That way, you know, in our next meeting, if this item does come before us, that we have some sort of clarity as to any pertinent information that we had requested in order to move forward with making a decision.
Yes, I have that. All the
Okay,
information that is being requested.
all right. Counselor Rodriguez, I believe did you have anything that you wanted to add?
I did.
Okay, Council President, you have the floor.
What I was gonna suggest is that look at like you mentioned, look at the data. That's why I request that not only that these programs, that I also requested the TIF information as well. So we can look at the data. So who is it gonna be? What project has been benefited by this tax incentive? And based on that, treat it similar. I'm very aware of that of the situation happening on this project, but I'm also aware of that of the waiting time periods and potential development of that specific building that we have, due to the fact that the developer has shown a good faith effort to maintain affordable apartments within the time range, within the price limit within that Miramar Valley, which is basically the numbers that it's considered affordable around around the county. Because if we look at the numbers that affordable housing means in Lawrence, is not Lawrence. The calculation has been done around the county, which make it higher to the people from Lawrence, but within the threshold of that of what it means of the affordability, affordable housing means, their price have shown based on not just what they saying here, but based on me knocking on doors and talking about rent, especially on buildings around the downtown area. I can say based on testimony that it is a lot more affordable than other developers. So what I was going to suggest is that we look at the data, and based on that, we can potentially discuss that the agreement with the developer with conditions if we don't believe that it is enough for that for us to approve, but at least have that requirement that they have for them to apply for that state tax incentive or state benefit, and not allowing them or not necessarily holding up the entire application because of our approval. And what I mean by this is like if the application from the state, if the council doesn't want to approve this application for the incentive, at least we approve it with a condition that that if the state approve then and then we can maintain it. And if it's not, and then, but because at least we're giving them an opportunity for them to apply at the state level and be able to develop this huge project that has been like that for a while. In the same way, and if we visualize what is this building, is that actually that on Canal Street is the worst looking at this time, at this point, and I know and I hope that if they get to develop it, at least we're gonna have a building that is privately owned and with the affordable rents that is not affordable, but I mean based on the rate that we have at that county level, it could be considered for affordable, and allow them to proceed with the state with the application. And that's my suggestion.
Okay.
No, and you definitely and this is going back to when we originally were looking at the smart growth overlay. Like you said, what they consider affordable for their threshold of HUD regulations, in 2025, a 2-bedroom, I think it's about 2,300, which I'm not getting anyways, because all my rents are probably $200-$300 below that. But now if I opt into that, now I'm still not getting that, but now I have a $50,000 expense. This is where it makes it impossible to finance. I'd be willing to bet when Dan gets you that list that it's either all affordable or zero affordable, and there's little to nothing in between, because it just doesn't work. And you guys have seen the work that we do. I'm the contractor, and if I can't make it work, I mean, because I can cut some of the costs down, it doesn't work. And it's just the reality. It's either they could do 100% where you could get some of those low income housing tax credits, or none. So you can avoid that big overhead on that annual audit.
And
Mr. Chair, are
yes,
you able to provide the rent roll that you mentioned earlier?
I was going to ask that.
Yep, I can absolutely provide that. I just can't put tenant names in it, but I can put
No, that's
unit.
fine.
Yep.
Okay,
I can-
all right. It'll give details in terms of it's a 1-bedroom and what you get for that 1-bedroom, right?
Exactly. I can put square footage. I'll just give you my rent roll and just take their names out of it.
Yeah, you could redact any personal information. Okay.
Yep.
so just to finish up my thought, I think that I have voted for this program for to benefit developers in the past, and it's not just to benefit developers. It's because based on the need of the market, the housing market that we have, the city of Lawrence, we need all type of housing. And that means that I'm in favor of every project, not necessarily, but I mean a privately owned building that is looking for an incentive for the next 5 years with the minimum tiers. I think that the fact that they're going to be able to just develop a bridge that people are going to be able to use to get access to that land on that side, it is a plus to the city, to be honest with you. That's the way I see it. And I understand that they are on the overlay. I support affordable housing, but one thing doesn't take away from the other.
Okay. Any lasting questions, remarks, discussions regarding this item before I'm looking for a recommendation? Seeing none? Can I get a recommendation?
Madam Chair,
Oh, Councilor Luzon?
I think we have to be careful. And it's good, Mr. Chair, to provide the information that we need, but at the end of the day, and it's not very specific to Mr. Trejo. But I just want to put out there that at the end of the day, most of our families are not able to afford the rent in the city. And not somehow we are pushing them out.
Yeah.
That needs to be we need to put it out there so people know. This may not be the case with Mr. Trejo project, but just keep that in mind. We are pushing families out because they're not able to afford rent. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I would like to add, if I may.
You have the floor.
Thank you. We've been, and again, let me start off with something positive. I appreciate that the Trejo brothers did consider affordability, that they already integrated it into their pricing, to the rent, I mean, and I look forward to reviewing that data. But and it also kind of sucks that that Jesus is here taking the brunt for a lot of this. But we've been very pro developers for the last few years, and I disagree with the council president. I don't think it's the housing shortage, and I mentioned this multiple times throughout this meeting, is the fact that, to Councilor Luzon's point, our families cannot afford to live here. And that is why we have other issues. It's a whole domino effect. And I'm not going to turn a blind eye to that. We keep adding, and adding, but we're not coming up with solutions for the other impacts that us approving continuous housing creates. I don't know. With that being said, I appreciate Mr. Trejo being very understanding and cooperative, and having the additional information ready. And I'm hoping that with the information that he will provide us and the additional information that Director McCarthy will provide us, then perhaps I would be ready for a vote. But right now, I'm not ready for a vote to take on this matter.
Okay, with that being said, do I have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to table this item until we receive the additional information.
Motion has been made to table. Is there a second?
Second.
A second was made by Councilor Luzon. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Sure. Councilor Wendy Luzon,
Yes.
Councilor Stephanie Infante,
Yes.
Council President Giovanni Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Vivian Marmol.
I vote in the affirmative. And the motion carries. All
To
right.
table the matter.
Thank you, councilors. I will get working on those paperwork you requested, and I'll sit down with Jesus.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Director
you.
McCarthy. Thank you, Mr. Trejo.
Thank you guys for the time. I appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, the next and the last item, I believe, item on the agenda. Please bear with me. Let me see. I believe it's item 45725, authorization to expend $50,000 fiscal year 26 earmark grant for the handball courts. We have our recreation director, Adderley Gonzalez. Is Adderley with us? Is Adderley with us, or anybody from the
Yeah,
recreation?
I will speak on behalf of this item.
Okay, Council President, you have the floor.
Essentially, this item is an earmarks funding that it's coming from the state, and the money was used to advance the handball court that is located in Oxford on Wall Street, that park has been neglected for years, and finally we took some initiative after so many conversation, after so many years of conversation around this sport that is being neglected for years. We the city essentially have done some work. They paved the they paved the court. They also sandblast the walls. And essentially they are going to be ready to they fix the fence, they expand the court, and also they're going to be able to continue with that with painting and reconditioning the flooring to a point that the humble core users or the people that played humble, they're going to be able to enjoy the the park. These earmarks was promoted by the state representative Moran, Lidl Moran, and it was bring up to the city so we can finish up with the park. The city have spent some money out of the city fund to be able to have this core up to the standards. Hopefully, we can pass this on to the full council so we can have a full explanation as of why it is important for the humblers to maintain a core that is in a decent shape on the north side on this area, and talk about a little bit of the meaning of the sport within the city. It is an affordable sport. It is not a sport that you spend a lot of money to play, and essentially that's the earmarks. I believe that it was scheduled for the administration to be here. We have a conversation early, and they asked me if I can take on the conversation about explaining what is it is being proposed. So
Council-
essentially,
Council President, can I add, or can I ask? Is there an explanation in terms of how the $50,000 are gonna be used?
some of the work has been done already, which is paving, sandblasting the wall, paving the floor, sandblasting the wall, fixing up the fence, painting and reconditioning with a specific paint, the flooring, bringing up the court up to standards, so the handballers can use it. So it is not to propose a mural. It is not to propose because that disturbs the players from the actual playing. That's not the intent.
Okay, but the $50,000, is it for previous work that has been done already, like you mentioned? Because I'm familiar with the fact that they've already
Yeah, part of
started
it.
working on it.
Part of it is to pay part some of the work that the city have spent money, and part of it is to be able to finish up the work that we need.
Okay. Counselors, any
Recommendation of vote.
questions, concerns regarding this item? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to send it to the full council with a further recommendation.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Properly second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sure, Counselor.
I'm sorry, there is. You froze a little bit. Go, start all over. Please call the roll.
Counselor Stephanie Infante,
Yes.
Council President Giovanni Rodriguez,
Yes.
Councilor Wendy Luzon,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Vivian Marmol.
Counselors, I did want to mention before, unless there's anything from the tabled matters that needed to be untabled, we did have Sarah Perez that was here earlier with us. She pretty much waited, I believe, up until like 6:30, 6:40. She did message in the group chat that she had something pending at 6:30. Therefore, she had to leave the meeting. With that being said, I believe she was requested to come before us to kind of give us an update regarding the Federación Hispana. So if we need to send out another notification to invite her, I'm not sure. I'm willing to listen to what other members from this committee suggest on how to deal with that specific item. Do we want to keep it in a subcommittee level and request for her appearance to notify us regarding any updates regarding the funds that were supposed to be allocated for Federación Hispana? But I'll give you guys the floor to let me know what do you guys recommend, if any recommendations, or if simply we just send another notification for our next meeting and have her come before us. Okay, seeing none. Madam Clerk, send another notification to have her come before us for our next budget and finance meeting.
Sure, I will.
Okay, at this time, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Properly second, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sure. Counselor Stephanie Infante,
Yes.
Council President Giovanni Rodriguez,
Yes.
Counselor Wendy Luzon,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Vivian Marmol.
Yes. Good
Thank you.
evening, good
Good
night.
evening.
And good night, everyone.